Do you guys want to play political bingo now? Or radical bingo, as I like to call it?
Let's play radical bingo.
Okay.
Okay, hi guys, we're the Brigade, and today we're going to talk about why we personally identify as leftists. All of us have different identities of like where we're on the scale, but we're all to the left of the political spectrum. And today we're going to talk about why that is for us personally, and as well as compare and contrast our reasons for that.
Does anyone have the healthcare system or universal healthcare?
Bada bing, number 3 for me.
Yeah, I talked about that a bit as well. It's just like, you know, the system that we have for healthcare is not good. It's not set up to help people. And I feel like that's really what it should be about, is making sure that people can be healthy and like well taken care of. But it's all about the money. And I don't really like that.
So my take on it was that I was looking at first world countries with universal healthcare, and I was talking about how nobody ever talks about how they're able to afford all this glorious healthcare by building it on the backs of people of color and indigenous and native people when they killed them when they were colonizing everyone.
Yeah. Okay, how about the DNC?
No, I don't like thinking about them.
That's fair. You?
Not really. Like, one thing I had to talk about was the fact that my entire political life, like the first time I really remember being involved in politics was I was like in 4th or 5th grade, and Obama was getting elected, and we were doing like mock elections in a class, and the teacher gave out like a handout, and the things I wrote down put me kind of independent politically. Like, I've never really been with Republicans or Democrats. Like,
bingo, I talked about the two-party system.
Yeah, the two-party system is not good, and I have known my entire life that neither party was for me. But as we got older and I saw more and more how the Democratic Party was, it never radicalized me to in a real extent, because it was never really a big part of my life.
For me, I really thought the Democratic Party was for me when I was younger, because I was like, obviously I'm not Republican, so I must be Democratic, which is one of the problems with the two-party system. Bernie Sanders, does anyone have that?
By the time he came around, I already knew what it was about.
Yeah, kind of the same. In 2016, I was 16, and I was hopeful, and I knew that I couldn't vote, and I was like, I'm gonna do what I can to kind of get someone who I know can get there to the presidency elected. And so I was like, Bernie's cool, but I don't really know him that well, and Hillary, she seems very capable. So I was actually a fellow for the Hillary Clinton campaign. So Bernie didn't really radicalize me in any extent, but like now, like this election, 2020, I was like all for Bernie. It's like he's like the only candidate I can see myself voting for.
Honestly, 2016, not being old enough to vote was a radical moment, because I was just like it was really weird watching it, because I was already in college by that point, and everyone around me was able to vote, and I wasn't, and I was watching people like make decisions about other people's lives, and I was just like, a lot of y'all shouldn't be trusted. Like, that's good to know. Like, I already know I don't like and trust people, but thank you for just constantly reaffirming my beliefs.
I think the worst thing for me after that election was finding out that people voted for Harambe. But I was like, I would die to be able to vote right now. And y'all are out here voting for a monkey that died like 6 months ago? Really?
Yeah, that was really embarrassing to be an American and like having other countries found out like we voted for a dead gorilla.
So who else had media that they watched as a child?
I didn't put that down, but that's actually a pretty good thing.
After you mentioned Avatar, I was like, yeah, Avatar did open my eyes about a lot of things that I didn't know what the terms were, like colonialism and like
imperialism.
Yeah, but now that I think about it, it's like, oh my god, I did recognize those things. And it's great that they could put that in a cartoon show.
For me, those topics of colonialism, things like that, I couldn't get radicalized by stories with that in it, because that was always like a thing for me. But like stories that talk about like kind of smaller injustices or kind of radicalized me. So like stories about other systems that kept people down or oppressed are what kind of radicalized me and like showed me different possibilities, especially like stories of like found family, things like that. Like what a book I feel like had a big impact on me, like a few different books had big impacts on me, but The Mysterious Benedict Society and A Wrinkle in Time, I feel like those books are kind of like smaller books with like big messages that kind of just stuck with me. It was like, you know, things could be different and so many like, and things could be a lot worse or a lot better, and like it depends on you to change it kind of thing.
For me, it was watching like a lot of anime. Funnily enough, when I started watching anime, I ended up watching like a lot of violent anime dealing with war, so that kind of made me grow up to be a pacifist. And also a lot of the anime that I watched, the government was always the ultimate villain. Like in Full Metal Alchemist and Code Geass, it was always like the establishment is not your friend, and to live a moral and just life, you have to go against the establishment.
I didn't get to those till I was a lot older, so like they didn't really have that same impact on me, because like something I talked about here is that I'm neurodivergent in some way. I don't really have like exact definitions for everything I am, but the way that my mind works, I've always had kind of like, my family calls it black and white thinking, but it's really just like my morals have always been strong from a young age. I've always known like some things are right and some things are wrong. And even though I've had a bigger understanding of what right and wrong mean, a lot of those same things are still the same. And so like my neurodivergencies have kind of made me who I am, and like have helped me have the views I have. So like by the time I was watching shows like Full Metal Alchemist, I was like maybe 13 to 15 while I was watching it. And like my ideals and beliefs about the kind of thing were already kind of set in stone a bit.
But see, I was like maybe like 10 or so at the oldest. So like I had no business watching Full Metal Alchemist, but there I was. And in terms of like morality and stuff, I'm very much a fluid person, in which that I change with the times, because like yes, there are like a couple of core ideas, but like my main thing is about like learning things and growing and adapting with them, because like I still remember like a time where I didn't know that trans people existed. Like it wasn't even something I conceptualized of, and then I learned about it and I educated myself, and I chose not to be ignorant, despite the fact that the internet made it really easy to choose to be ignorant.
Mm-hmm. And see, that's like like for me it's different. Like I learned about like LGBT stuff pretty late in the game, honestly. Mm-hmm. But like my entire life I was raised, you know, you treat people like people, you treat them with respect. You know, you care about others, you show them kindness, you do charity, you know, you care about your environment, people around you, your neighborhood, your neighbors, you care about people as yourself. And that's partly the Christian reason I had, but also just my parents. Like, my dad is the kind of guy who, like, if he sees someone struggling, he'll give them, like, everything he has to help them. And I've always been, like, raised with that being modeled for me. And, you know, my own experiences, along with those ideals and beliefs of like love and kindness and faith and charity, by the time I kind of got older and was able to kind of make myself like find my own ideals or like learn about different things like trans people, it's just like, okay, I don't really understand it, but that's still a person. You gotta treat them like with respect and love.
Most of my growth happened in high school. Yeah, most of my growth happened in high school. Like who I am today is primarily because of high school, because I can still say that like the first time I became quote unquote radicalized is when I learned the dictionary definition of feminism, where I was like, I think I was like 12 years old, and I remember going to like my high school media center / library, and I looked for a dictionary and I found the definition of feminism, and it was like the equality between men and women as dictated by like the French Revolution in the 1800s. And I was like, oh, okay, that's easy, I'm a feminist. And that was like an easy moment for me, but also a really hard one, because I had grown up with the idea of like feminism was a bad word. Like you could be a feminist, you just couldn't call yourself a feminist. Mm-hmm. Because I came from a country where I was just like, oh, you're a feminist, so like you're burning your bras and you're not shaving your tits. I'm just sitting here like, that wasn't in the dictionary.
I do that stuff for fun.
So yeah, like a lot of my initial feminism was just like me finding texts and reading them.
I used to like be obsessed with history like that. So like history class was like my jam. So
Oh, that's another thing that radicalized me.
history.
History.
Yes.
Actually, no, self-taught history.
Mm-hmm.
Self-taught history, which I think is very important. Because guess what, kids? The American education system just bleaches out all the blood in your history.
I was very lucky to like be in advanced classes a lot of my life, and so I was always like given better history classes than a lot of like my classmates, and I'm lucky for that. And I'm like, it would never change that for anything.
Oh, I didn't have that. So I took honor roll classes most of the time. Yeah, I took honors classes, and like they taught me well, but a lot of what I know is my own supplemental research and me looking at American history and going, oh, I don't trust you people. I just want to say I'm really grateful that I came to America as an immigrant, because nothing forces you to do research like hearing people spew stereotypes about your people and like where you came from, and you're just like, oh, so I can't trust you guys because you don't know anything. Hi, thank you for watching Rainbow Brigade. I'm Claire, and thank you for giving us your views.
Hi, my name is Rashma, and if you could please subscribe and follow, that would be really great.
As well as comment below, you know, talk to us. We want to hear more about you. We want you to share your experiences. So thanks for your time.
And tell us what you want to hear next.
Yes.
And follow us on social media, and you can interact with us there, and we'll probably message back in 3 to 7 business days.
Oh, I promise that. 3 to 7 business months.
Okay, follow us on social media and message us, and we'll message you back in 3 to 7 business months. Give or take, depending on the phases of the moon.
And our depression. And school.
And anxiety and seasonal anxiety disorders.
This is not a good outro.